Hello and welcome back to the Mind and Money podcast. I'm Sherry, a financial coach.
And I'm Val, a financial planner. And today we are talking about something that we've been talking about. As you can see, our location has changed, and maybe you can't hear that, but we are in a different location. We've been spending hours together, days. It's been great. We're at Sherry's cottage. It's beautiful. And what has been coming up a lot for us as we're both training for a half marathon, talking about client things and life things, is when you do something small consistently, it makes a big difference. So how is this coming up for you right now in the largest way?
It's just like everything. It's coming up. And yeah, the big catalyst was talking about training for a half marathon, which we have coming up in October, which training in the heat makes me wonder why the fuck I did this to myself. But it's okay because it's going to make that October run a whole lot easier. But it's coming up in client situations a lot too. And one of the things that it's specifically coming up with is my ongoing coaching clients, we set up a cash flow tracker. So this is essentially like looking at their budget, but in real time. So when is the money coming into their account and when is the money coming out of their account, and looking several weeks, months in advance. And what can happen, it can get overwhelming, and especially initially when you're doing it, but it can also, if you get stuck in avoidance mode and you haven't done it in a while and it's like, oh shit, I'm coming up to my next like financial coaching session with Sherry and I haven't done it. And a lot of times what can happen is life just gets busy and you got thrown all the things all at once. So sometimes you just hit a hard reset. You're like, okay, when do you get paid next? Or when did you get paid last? And we'll just go from there. But one of the things that I'm encouraging my clients to do that are feeling in avoidance mode is to increase the level of check-ins. Instead of doing it once per week, once per pay, check in on it once a day. Once a day for 2 minutes is all you really need to see what's come out. Has anything come in? Do I need to update anything? Was there any additional transactions that I hadn't planned for? And it actually, the messages that I get, it's like, oh, yeah, I did it. And it was easier than I anticipated, or it took less time than I thought about. Or I had one this week. It's like, I actually found some money that we hadn't accounted for.
Love that game.
One of the challenges, though, is that for our ADHD brains, we remember nothing from these lessons that we learn and we do them again. So I was just trying to like nudge those clients that have been struggling with avoidance mode to have them create consistency.
I think giving yourself the permission to do a hard reset is a big start, because you know the mountain is just like slowly getting larger, and then now it is uncomprehendable where you would begin. So by starting fresh, depending on what you're doing, if that's possible, do that. Like, don't be afraid to start again. We're talking about this too. I have 3 dogs. So we were talking about this with one of Sherry's neighbors where they let the poop get outrageous and then maybe they clean it up. And I was saying I do it once a day, if not every other day, because it's so much more manageable. But my old habit was maybe once a week and it was such a chore. But now I'm like, oh yeah, super manageable, super easy to do, takes less time, feels less overwhelming. Small things multiple times.
And
consistently.
To incorporate a little dopamine into that too. Put it on a checklist and then you check it off and then you get it done. And then you get the reward of getting it done every day versus versus waiting a whole week and then you're like, oh my God. It's literally a pile of shit. Why? I'm just going to avoid it a little bit longer. It just gets worse and worse and worse. And it becomes a cycle of avoidance and then it gets worse. And even for some things, when it comes to our money, we can't physically see the shit like you can in your yard.
Right.
But you build it up and you
mentally
catastrophize things. So when you think, oh, it's going to be bad when I look at it, my debt's gone up by $1,000. And then you avoid it for another month. And you're like, well, it's probably gone up by another $1,000. And immediately you went from having $20,000 in credit card debt to like, I'm sure it's 40 now. And then you actually look at it. You're like, oh, it's 22. I haven't been paying it down, but I haven't blown it up as much as possible. So it's, yeah.
Yes. Look at what's out there. And you said something there too. What was the very first thing you said? My brain's like, the checklist. So putting something like, picking up the dog poop on the checklist or doing your money routine on the checklist. What are the smallest things that you have on your checklist to get the dopamine hit?
Oh, and also know that consistency, 2 things. Consistency is going to look different for everybody, especially for ADHD brains. And sometimes what works this week is not going to work next week. So I feel like each week is there's a roulette wheel in my head that I spin, and it's like, what am I going to use to track what I need to do this week?
Yes.
And sometimes it's sticky notes. Sometimes it's my sticky note on here. Yeah, I have my weekly sticky note on here. Oh, the least time commitment thing that I have on my checklist is a TikTok video every day, because I've gamified the shit out of this. And I'm sure I've talked about it like at least 7 times before, but my goal is 1 video every single day, and to do it inside of 10 minutes, post, record, caption. So if you're following me over on TikTok and you think things seem a little unhinged, you're welcome.
You're welcome.
It makes it fun for me and very low,
because you've gamified it. Yeah. I would say it's not, I haven't necessarily gamified it, but I've added it on my list. Is like things like drinking my water, my vitamins, things that are small, but it gives me a little hit where I'm like, did that today, done.
And some things like checking in on your money and seeing where you're at, you can hit a hard reset. But some things you can't hit a hard reset and start over, like
laundry.
Half marathon training.
You cannot just, I mean, you can.
Like, do not recommend.
Wouldn't recommend.
You can start day 1 of a training plan the week before a half marathon, but it's not going to get you very far.
I got it. So we were talking about that because Sherry's been, we were both on the same plan, then she did a different plan, but she's been really good accountability for me because we have each other's Apple Watches, and she's like, yo, you alive? I'm like, yeah, I am.
Checking for signs of life.
Still breathing. So she's been good to keep me accountable. And then I've been moving through my plan, and I'm like, I actually find the running to be easier. And Sherry's like, imagine that. You keep doing something and it gets easier. It's practicing at life.
And one of the things that I hear a lot from fellow entrepreneurs is they want to show up on social media more consistently, but they aren't. And again, it's that cycle of you're not showing up, you haven't posted in X number of days, weeks, and then you think you've got to do this amazing post to explain why you've been absent. And really, if that's you, just post something low effort. And I highly recommend create a plan for a short period of time just to post a lot. Maybe a lot for you is once a day. Maybe it's 2-3 times a day. I saw some people on TikTok who they've committed to every time they open their TikTok app, they are going to post. I'm not opening it unless it's not something that I'm doing, but the more you do something, the less worried you are about it being perfect.
Yes, because I, like when you were talking, I'm like, how do you plant the field? It's 1 seed at a time. You don't have to have the whole entire sunflower grown and ready. It's just 1 little seed. Keep it simple.
And things are not going to get easier no matter what they do. Running, checking your money, posting on social media, unless you repeat them over and over and over again. If you want to do video content on social media, every single video you record and post, it gets a little bit easier.
It's a little less cringy. And this comes into place with investing as well. So clients that are like, I really want to have this. Okay, well, how do we get there? You don't have to save up a whole bunch of money in your bank account. In fact, I recommend that you don't. I recommend that we every month or bi-weekly put X amount over into this account, into this investment, whatever makes sense for you. And we plant those little seeds. And if we find that, okay, $100 bi-weekly is manageable and we want to put more, all right, we can do that. We can always increase that and change that number, but don't feel like you have to have, okay, I have to have $10,000 or $100,000 over here before I start investing. No. Au contraire. Start sooner, start smaller.
Yeah. And you can even gamify that too. If you are really trying to decrease your impulse spending, if you have something in your Amazon cart or in another online shop, or you walk by it and you're like, I really want that thing, and it's $27. Put $27 into a savings account or into investments. And then you can start to get dopamine off of saving. This legit can happen. I promise you. Yes, we get all the dopamine off of shopping.
Yes.
But we actually get more dopamine from the process of buying.
Yes, than the
thing arriving at our door and having it, which is wild.
I completely believe that. And I also notice I'll have cycles in the year where there's a certain times where I'm more prone to fill carts or to impulse buy something. And I'm like, take a beat and be like, why is this coming up for me? Why
and
do
put
I
it
feel
on your
this?
list of things that you want?
Yes.
and then use it as a reward for the future. And then maybe you come back to that list. More often than not, I'm deleting things from my list.
Yeah, I love going through and being like, I've either obtained that in a different way, or I don't actually want that. It was a momentary thing. I thought I wanted it, but it was more societal pressure, or someone was talking about it and I was like, oh, I really want that. And then come to reflect and give time and I'm like, no, I didn't want that.
Yeah. And it's the same. The more you pause, don't hit buy now, the more you flex that muscle, the more you use it, the easier it gets to do it next time. And then it just becomes a reflex to see this thing on social media or a friend has it and I want it and I go to see how much it is and I add it to my cart and then I pause.
Yes.
I pause. And I know we're getting off topic here, shocker, but having money set aside specific for you to buy things that are just for you, for your wants, but having boundaries around it. So if you've got $50 in that account and the thing you want is $150, that's also another thing to have that pause. And then even if you had $150 in that account, you're like,
do I want to use it all on this?
Yeah. Or do I want to hoard that money up a little bit longer? Because you legit start to get dopamine off of seeing money grow in your savings. And when you partner with automation and you separate it from the financial institution that you look at more regularly, and then you just look at it, you're like, oh, I have this much money in this account for this purpose. And what do you know? These things are actually working because I haven't really noticed it not in my regular bank account. So what are some other things that really get easier with consistency? And like, it's repetition, not necessarily consistency. I think maybe repetition is the right word, because
repetition is good. We've talked about the physical aspects, so that can apply to going to the gym and yoga and all of those things. Mental meditation, I think you're pretty consistent with that.
I am. And it pains me to say that it's actually remarkably effective. I used to really struggle with shutting my brain off, and I still do sometimes, but I am pretty good at getting up in the morning and I brush my teeth. Because here's the logic in my brain. I brush my teeth and then I immediately go and meditate while I also shopping, pause here, skip 15 seconds if you don't want to be tempted to buy anything. I lay down on my acupressure mat with my red light mask on and I meditate for 10 to 20 minutes depending on my day. But do
you do a guided one?
A guided one on my Peloton app. And in my mind, I'm not supposed to eat or drink right away after I brush my teeth. So this pause doing this helps my toothpaste
do its job.
And also you're not supposed to spit and rinse. Or you're supposed to spit but not rinse after you brush your teeth. Fun fact. Because then you're rinsing out the good things in the toothpaste.
Like the protection. That makes sense.
Random fact.
Yeah. So meditation is one where I have not done the repetition to reap the rewards. Every time I do it, I'm like, oh, that was good. But then I don't go back to it the next day or when I'm stressed. Today I did one and it was cool. It was a bit guided, but I envisioned it as, when you aquariums, they have that tunnel you can walk through. So if you lay on the floor in that tunnel, you're observing your mind. But I continuously was the mermaid in the tank and I had to pull myself out and be like, lay back down. I could just, I kept going in between. And that's the point, is to spend more time laying and observing the sharks or the thoughts. But it was pulling yourself out of the tank without judgment and being like, there she is.
Yep.
Get her out of there.
Yep. And I really do, not sponsored, love the guided meditations on the Peloton app, because there's different instructors, but they'll say, if you find your mind busy, disable it thinking and let the thought pass. I also, I really love one specific instructor. Her name is Aditi, and she just has this calming voice. And I also really connected it to the music that she picks for the background is really calming too. I've never really tried to do unguided sessions. I need just a little bit of something to distract me, and I'm not the full on just quiet and be zen with your mind. I need a little chatter.
I need a tour guide.
Yeah.
So the mental aspect, journaling as well, right? Keeping that consistent versus just, it's like there's an analogy there. It'll come to me. Coming back to financially investing small bits at a time, even with paying off debts, even if it's your mortgage, if it makes sense for you to put more towards your mortgage, it's adding X amount onto your payment or whatever whatever your lender lets you. If you call and you're able to increase it by $50 a pay.
And we often think about spending and getting into debt with that kind of death by 1,000 cuts, but you can reverse that and do that with adding to your savings and paying down your debt too. if we go back to the analogy of impulse spending and you've got something that you want to spend X amount on and you've got credit card debt, instead of sending that to savings, make an extra payment on your debt. You might think, well, Sherry, I have $10,000 in debt. Why would I make a payment for $27? That's like a drop in the ocean, but it's impactful. And especially because credit card companies charge you interest once a month. You see it on your statement once a month, but it's actually accumulating daily. So if you make a payment throughout the month, an extra one or an extra 3 or 4 or 5, even small ones, they're not going to save you hundreds of interest, but they're going to save you little bits. And it's all those little bits that accumulate over time. Chances are you got into debt with multiple small transactions over time, and you can get yourself out of debt in a very similar way.
Yeah. And that's very often the theme with clients is when we're in those tighter situations, it's like, it's sometimes, yes, is larger things that happen, like big car repairs or something that we had to replace in our house. But more often than not, it's like, we don't know where our money's going, but we're not extravagant people. But if you look at it, it is these smaller transactions that add up. And some of it you can't change. Like that's what we have to spend to live as a family of 5 or whatever it may be. But some of it's like, okay, this is that need versus want. And if we want this enough, we have to put that piece aside. So this might be having less debt, feeling less stressed. So that's the financial piece. We did the mental piece, the physical piece, cleaning things right in our physical space. It's way easier to even, I find if I do one drawer a day or whenever I think of it in terms of decluttering or tidying stuff versus being like, I'm going to declutter my entire house. Overwhelm me.
I feel attacked with this last statement.
Why?
Because it's just Jason and I in our house. And from a cleaning perspective, I have somebody who comes to clean for us and I love it. So not that I don't clean, but I don't clean. Like I'll like wipe down counters after dinner and stuff like that. But
this, like my piece is more like going through my clothes and getting rid of some, like donating stuff. So just like how you keep your box, you don't say, I'm going to fill this box all today and take it in. You fill it over time with one thing at a time, and then you take it in. That wasn't like
I know. But also on that note, going back to something like decluttering, as I've done things before where I committed to, I'm going to get rid of 3 things a day.
Yes.
For a set period of time.
Yes.
I'm going to have my t-shirt pile where I rotate so that when I put laundry away, I put it underneath. And then if I get to t-shirts that I'm always skipping, I'm going to just get rid of those. So I do it. Yeah, I find strategies to do it more regularly versus
an overhaul.
The overwhelm, like the Marie Kondo method where you're supposed to like get everything out of your closet. That I couldn't imagine. I imagine myself in a puddle on the floor.
I burnt out like mid-mountain and I was like, well, I have to sleep in this bed tonight. So I have to.
I just huck it all on the floor. I'd be like, I'm done. Yeah. How long is that pile going to stay on the floor? Probably until the day before the next time the person's coming to clean, because I love that accountability too. Yes. And finding ways to link in accountability to these smaller consistent habits, like Val and I with our Apple watches where we get each other's activity notifications. Mm-hmm. Like me nudging clients, like, hey, did you do this? You're going to do this. And when's a reasonable date? And I'm going to follow up with you on the date. And I'm going to put a reminder in my phone or snooze an email where we talked about it until that date. Because when you've got accountability, maybe it's somebody coming in to clean your house that's going to force you to tidy it. Maybe it's somebody that you just message with daily and say, here's the things that I'm going to do today. And there's so many different strategies and there's so many different ways that consistency looks. So it's just finding what works for you and knowing that what works for you, if you are a fellow ADHDer, is a what works for you for now. And when it stops working and it stops being novel and you stop getting the dopamine, just find something new, find alignment. Why did this work? And what other systems can I look for that are going to work to help me accomplish the same goal?
Yeah. Don't beat yourself up. It's not gospel. Give yourself grace, but try new things.
And I also really love sharing on social media as accountability. People might think that I overshare, but there's some days where you'll see me post in my stories like, here's the list. I
love seeing those because I'm like, ooh, what's on that person's list?
And it helps you get an idea of what my days look like. And there are some days I'm like, shit, what did I put on my list that I shared on my Instagram story today? And I have to go back. I'll go back to them like, okay, I had to do this one thing before I get cozy and sit on the couch and read my book for the rest of the night. Yeah.
Whatever reward it is.
And a lot of it is false accountability, but it creates tiny bits of accountability in my mind. And that's all you need.
I see myself doing this sometimes, like a pinky promise with myself. I'll be like, okay, before my coffee in the morning, I try to drink one of my waters. I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
You got this.
Little strategies that you can check off as wins every day, and finding those ways to start something. Maybe you start with meditating 2 minutes and then you up it to 5 and then you up it to 10, and just doing what's manageable for you, and then trying to continue to expand on that if it's something you want to do more of in your life. So cheers to consistency. Go do that one thing that you said you were going to do.
Not consistency. What would we say? It started with an R.
Repetition. Cheers to repetition. Go do the thing. Here's your sign to go post a video on social media that's you talking, because especially if you're a service-based entrepreneur, if I go to your feed and I'm thinking about working with you, I need to see your face.
I want to see you.
Show us your beautiful face. And you might get haters, but when you get haters, that just helps the algorithm. So
yeah, but remember, when you get haters, when you squeeze an orange, you get orange juice. When you squeeze a hater, you get hate that comes out of them. That's what's in them. It's not what's in you.
There's going to be assholes on the internet, and you can block them. I do it almost every day, not necessarily with assholes, but with people that are spam messaging me. You spam message me on any social media platform or in my email, you're blocked. So don't do that, and I won't block you. So we hope that you have a great day, and we can't wait to see you next time on the Mind and Money Podcast.